So what does that data collection look like? We're going to go through that in a couple of slides of exactly what you need: feasibility study, IE reports, et cetera, et cetera. The data dump, of course, we'll send over a Dropbox link, and, we can get all that data to you, pretty quickly. And then our pre-flight, which is our internal loan committee process, takes about 2 weeks for us to be able to disseminate all that data and create what we call our OAM, or Opportunity Assessment Memorandum. And then from there, we go to term sheet. Term sheet is about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on legal. Again, we are a senior secured lender, so it's pretty standard language there. And then we get into Laura's favorite part, the lender's analysis. Laura, can you tell us exactly what kind of goes into this 30+ page document that we call the lender's analysis? And is this the document that we submit along with the application for the USDA?
Yes, it is. It's really the main document, and 30 pages would be probably a short one. Most of them are somewhere between that 30 and 60 pages. It's really the entire project loan, everything underwritten and provided in a nice little analysis to the USDA. This part is critical, that the information that we request is accurate and efficient and believable. So we will submit another request for information through our internal portal that borrowers can upload directly to. So the size of the attachments are not at issue. And then we will review those, and every piece of information we request is a requirement for either our underwriting or the USDA's regulation requirements. So we're not going to ask for things that is just extra. Everything we ask for is required, and the integrity of that data is very important. That usually generates quite a bit of additional questions, and we will have those direct questions back and forth with the borrower so we can prepare the application. Once the portal is complete and all 20, 30 documents, 40 documents are received, depending on the complexity of the project, our analysis and underwriting, which is my main responsibility at North Avenue, takes about 3 weeks. In the meantime, and Justin will talk about third-party reports in a few minutes, we're waiting on third-party reports for additional data that needs to be put into the lender's analysis as well. And then once we get through all of the underwriting and get everything together, the USDA application has about 20 to 25 attachments that will go along with our lender's analysis as a full application to the USDA. So we will submit that. Once we submit the application to the USDA, we are not in control of the timing any further. So the USDA review, ideally, in the real world, or I don't know, and maybe in the fantasy world, should take about 30 days. But our experience over the past 8 years with the USDA, and particularly with the REAP program, with all of the extra funding that it has available right now, and the staffing challenges that they have at the USDA, we're really seeing more of a 45 to 60 day turnaround for their review and approval. But we do have some options that Justin will talk about for interim financing to kind of bridge that gap and timing so the project is not delayed. But we typically try to plan for submission with sometime within 60 days before we have an approval with the USDA, and we can move towards a closing of the loan.
Yeah, that's a great point. So like in Southern Illinois, usually they get 10 to 15 applications a quarter for grants. Last quarter, they got 92. Mm-hmm. And so again, audience, I think it's important to know that we are the client of the USDA. And so we are kind of the vessel that is the conduit that goes back and forth between our borrower and the USDA. All right, moving on to, okay, the CC issue. This is a big day. This is basically what you would call, in the solar world, the renewable energy world, financial close. But before you can start, moving dirt, you've got to make sure that you've got the phase 1 environmental approved by the USDA. And so, like Laura had mentioned earlier, that the interim financing helps with timing. And that's basically where we could start looking at bringing interim financing again if the phase one is approved here. The LNG issued is more for our balance sheet and our bank records that. And then the final piece here is the construction completion or COD. The system's online and it's generating power. And if you were to come to us with an ask of a 100%, where you needed a tax equity bridge loan plus, the long-term guaranteed REAP loan, this is where the tax equity infusion would come in, is at this phase, and that would take care of our tax equity bridge loan or our mini perm.